What's going on? Welcome to Asian Cosell. So I have one here by Megan Moon, and this is when a Korean daughter-in-law gets petty revenge, and it's crazy. Let's listen in on this. So here we
Girl, these Korean daughter-in-laws got some serious revenge on their mom-in-laws. The gossip is juicy.
Let it bounce.
Hello, friends and family. This is Megan Moon, aka Charlotte 입니다. So we all know that sometimes in-laws can be a bit much, overbearing, controlling, boundary stomping. So we're going to be going over stories of daughter-in-laws who said enough is enough. I'm gonna have my sweet revenge. The first story was sent by someone we'll just call Haejin. And Haejin's mother-in-law really heavily believes in the shamanism and fortune telling, which actually a lot of the previous generation does. Even my own mother-in-law, last time we moved to our house in Paju, we had to go into our house from the north. So from Seoul to Paju, you can just go up like this, but no. So we drove up like this to the border of North Korea and then down so that we could have a lucky move. And whenever we move, she comes and brings her incense and her red beans and wafts it around the house to get all the evil spirits out. Stuff like that is actually not bad. It's like, just do it. It's not that big of a deal. And they also can be very superstitious. For example, when I was pregnant, someone in the family died and there was a funeral. And so they were like, you can't come to the funeral. You're pregnant. My husband wanted to go, so we went anyway. And because the family knew we were coming, they came with lots of salt. And as we were leaving the funeral, they're just throwing salt at us. They went to our car, put salt on the wheels. They were like, you cannot have any of these bad spirits and bad energy follow you and impact the babies, the twins that are in your belly. Again, stuff like that is okay. It's like, if this is what they believe, even though I don't believe it, it's not a big deal to have some salt thrown at me sometimes. But there are some mom-in-laws that go above and beyond, and they even use it to try and control, their son and daughter-in-law. In the kangaroo family videos where I talked about this, one psychologist said on multiple occasions, some of the parents turned out actually paid money to bribe the fortune tellers to tell their kids to not leave the house because they didn't want their kids to leave the house. Anyway, you can see that in the kangaroo families video.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play around with that. I don't because I don't like people trying to control me. I don't try to control them. I'm just doing what I need to do. So no, I ain't gonna put up with that control. But let's listen in and find out some more.
But Haejin's mom-in-law really controls every little thing they do. When they were moving into their newlywed house and they had interior designers come in to decorate it, Haejin's mom-in-law was like, no, we have to have a specific wall color in order for this house to be lucky. Like it was like yellow or something. Who has yellow walls in their house? And she was the one who controlled the layout of all the furniture. First of all, that would be too much for me. I'd be like, Mom, you need to go sit down, okay? The most I will accept is you coming in with your incense and your red beans to get the evil spirits out, but you ain't telling us what colors the walls need to be. But Haejin was like, I don't want to start any trouble because it's the newlywed phase, so she just allowed her mom-in-law to like design everything. But her control went above and beyond just the colors of the wall and the furniture layout. 세아가 너 앞으로 왼쪽에서 자라. From now on, you need to sleep on the left side of the bed. Huh? 저 오른쪽이 편한데? It's more comfortable for me to sleep on the right side. And I'm pregnant. It's comfortable for me. Right.
What the hell? This Korean mother-in-law? Really? You have to sleep on the right side of the bed? Are you a smoking crack? I don't know what the hell they smoking. You're not even allowed to do drugs out in Korea, but come on.
자, 네가 문 쪽에서 자야 문으로 들어오는 기운이 막을 수 있어. You need to sleep on the side of the door so you can block all the bad energy from coming in. So even as far as to tell the wife what side of the bed she needs to sleep on. But it didn't go there. On move-in day to their house, the mom also said, 이 집에 들어올 때 문 열고 3초 세고 들어오고. When you come into the house, you need to open the door, count to 3 before you go in. This is what the fortune teller told us to do. Just endure it, okay? Because I'm saying all this for you, is what she says. If anybody ever tells you things that makes you uncomfortable all the time and they say they're doing it for you, gaslighting, most likely. So Haejin listened, and every time the door opened, before the movers came in, she called out loud, 1, 2, 3. Okay, come in.
Dude, should I just come in and say 1, 2, and he's coming for you, 3, 4, and lock your door? Man, she sounds like a Freddy Krueger theme right there. 1, 2, 3, come in the door. Hell no, we ain't doing that crap. Wow.
Everything. And even herself, before she came in the door, she opened it, 1, 2, 3, and then went in. some of these daughter-in-laws are too nice. Like anything that's above and beyond. Moving is already hectic, and to have to wait 3 seconds to get in the door, not at all. And obviously it didn't stop there. Her son, Hanbin, Haejin's husband, his name is Hanbin. Hanbin had to take a test in order to get promoted at his job. The mom-in-law told him that he had to wear big, bright flowers on his shirt. So Hanbin comes home from taking his test, and his wife sees him in this bright flower shirt, and she's like, what are you wearing? My mom said if I wear a flower shirt, then I will blossom.
And there's the explanation. Hey, Foot. Hi, Foot.
Haejin just kind of has a laugh and is like, okay, to celebrate your test, how about we have some chicken and beer tonight? But mom-in-law was at the house and she heard everything. Oh no! 엄마 어제 전 보고 왔는데. Yesterday I went and talked to the fortune teller, and my son is not allowed to eat chicken until the results come out. 승진 시험 결과 다음 주 나오니까 그때 먹을게.
Wait a minute. He already took his promotion test. It's time to eat some damn chicken and beer. Really? Is this really going crazy? Is this mother-in-law losing her mind? Oh, the spirits. Nah. It's time for some chicken and beer.
The results of my promotion test happen next week. So next week I'll eat the chicken. Also, daughter-in-law, your spirit is full of water and my son is fire. You will put him out. So until we get the results, you cannot touch him and you need to sleep in separate rooms. So they slept in separate rooms for a week. And the mom-in-law came and cooked all the meals because the mom-in-law said, you can't even touch his food. This is one of those things that I'd be like, look, everyone's entitled to believe what they believe. And I think belief in certain things like that is what really helps some people to get through life and to feel happy and fulfilled, etc. That's fine. But when your beliefs are encroaching on me, that's when I start to have a problem. Haejin was starting to get really irritated, so she did some investigating. And it actually turns out that the mom-in-law is not going to visit a fortune teller. There's a fortune teller online on YouTube and gets advice from him on the live stream. Yes, I did everything you said. Here is $500. 너무 고마워. Thank you so much. 우리 아들 시험 붙으면 더 보낼게. If my son passes the promotion test, I'm going to send you more money. And the daughter-in-law, Haejin, found out that she has been spending thousands of dollars on this person, asking them for advice, and then when it goes good, giving them more money. She found all the record of the live streams and seeing the mom's comments and whatnot. So Haejin was like, that's it. Anytime she tells me to do anything to her face, I'm going to say, but behind closed doors, I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want. Okay, because at that time, she was also very pregnant. Pregnant women ain't got time for nonsense. That was until the mom-in-law made a pretty absurd request. So Haejin is heavily pregnant and due in maybe 4 or 5 days. Mom-in-law goes up to Haejin and says, so you need to have the baby 3 weeks from now. 예정일 일주일도 안 남아 있는데? There's only a few days left before the baby is due. That's impossible. 우리 손주 앞날을 위해서 네가 좀 참아보는 거 어떡하니? Is it so hard for you to just hold out a little bit for the future of my grand?
Of course, I'll be like in Korean. 무슨 소리야 이 샹연아. That'll get me killed, but I'll be like, are you smoking some serious crack? Jesus. Have the kid hold on for 3 weeks. It's going to happen when it will.
And son, obviously you can't hold a baby in for an extra 3 weeks. Babies just come whenever they want to come. And even if it was possible to hold a baby in for an extra amount of time, like that would not be a good situation, right? It could be very dangerous. And that's what Hanbin told his mom, like, you're crazy. So it was on this day when she said, you know what? I got to put a stop to this. I'm going to get my revenge. So over the next few days, she got to work and she hatched the perfect plan to get revenge on her mom-in-law, because see, what you don't know is that the mom-in-law actually is an avid church goer. She actually works and volunteers even at the church, like a Christian church. And Christians in Korea are not supposed to be believing in these fortune tellers and superstitions and whatnot. So the next Sunday, when mom-in-law was at church, one of the churchgoers comes up to her. 어머, 아들 승진했어요? 축하드려요. Oh my God, your son passed for his promotion? Congratulations. 어떻게 아세요? How do you know that already? There's big banners everywhere. So the daughter-in-law had ordered huge banners on all of the buildings next to the church, like very huge, like billboard status banners. And the banner said, thank you, 보살님, for helping my son pass his exam. And she had the YouTuber's picture up there with his YouTube handle and everything. And because on live streams, the chat like information and who paid money and stuff is still up there. Like the churchgoers could like go and see it and whatnot. Mom-in-law was so embarrassed that she stopped going to that church because everybody now knows and sees that she uses the fortune teller. And also all of the information on how much money mom-in-law sent to that person, the thousands of dollars a month, she screenshot it and sent to her father-in-law. Father-in-law was like, what the hell are you doing spending all these thousands of dollars on this fortune teller? So he banned her from using YouTube and for going to getting any more fortune tellers anymore. So banners in Korea actually are not as expensive as you would think. I actually had a big one done for the twins' first birthday, and it was maybe $300 to get it done. So for the size that Heijin got, I would say it was probably around $500 for each one. So she spent around $2,000, which is quite a lot. I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have just sent all the screen captures to father-in-law. That would have been enough. But anyway, Heijin and Hanbin are now free of their mom-in-law being all meddling in their life and stuff with the fortune tellers. Speaking of fortune tellers, the next story also involves meddling mom-in-laws with fortune tellers. So
Okay, so here we go. Story number 2.
this next story was submitted by someone we'll call Jihei. Jihei's mom-in-law is also very, very superstitious. And one thing that Jihei likes to do is when she needs stuff, she likes to get used furniture. So Jihei and her husband, let's call him Jiyong, which means G-Dragon. So in the community on a forum, she found that there was a little coffee table that was for sale. It's used. So she's like, yeah, I'll just go get that one. Mom-in-law comes to the house a few days later and sees the table. Oh, I've never seen that table before. So GA tells her, yeah, I got it used on one of the mom forums in our area. Mom-in-law just freaked out. 얘가 정신 나갔나? Are you crazy? How can you get some used furniture in the house? You don't know who've used it or what kind of negative energy they've been around. You're gonna bring bad luck to this house. But Jihei is like, okay, whatever. Obviously, she ignored her mom-in-law and just kept using the table. But later that week, her husband caught the flu and was sick for a couple days. My son has never been sick. I tell you, it's that table. It's bad luck. So Jihei was like, fine, I will give the table away. So she did. And there were many other instances also, but we don't need to get into those. The main and worst situation happened after she and her older sister actually got pregnant at the same time. Jiyoung and Jihei are expecting their first baby, but during the first trimester, unfortunately, Jihei's older sister had a miscarriage. And it was so hard for her to see all of the baby stuff that they had already bought, so she gave all of that baby stuff to her younger sister, Jihei. Mom-in-law comes over, sees all this baby stuff, and is like, 아기 물건은 벌써 샀니? You already bought a whole bunch of baby stuff? It's too early for that, ain't it? My sister gave me the stuff because I guess it was hard for her to look at it. Yeah, that is a dead baby stuff. You are bringing bad luck. If bad stuff happens to my grandson, it's gonna be your fault. 내가 새로 살 테니까 갖다 버려. I'm gonna buy you all new stuff. Just throw that crap away. So she threw everything away, and her mom-in-law bought her new stuff, which I guess is not that bad, right? But after the baby was born and Jihei and Jiyoung were still in the hospital with their newborn, of course, mom-in-law goes to the fortune teller to ask about stuff. Mom-in-law goes to the hospital to see the baby and tells Jihei, 야, 너희 언니 1년간을 아기한테 가까이 하지 않은 게 좋다고 하대. So fortune teller says that for 1 year, your sister should not come near the baby. A woman who has had a miscarriage should not go near new babies.
That is extreme. I'm just like, yo, we're not playing this freaking little all this ghost crap. No. Or dead people's crap. No. Not gonna matter. Life goes on.
Jihei has just given birth, is at the freaking hospital. She ain't got no patience, so she lost it. How dare you say stuff like that? So my sister just can't see her nephew for a year? The husband was like, okay, mom, let's go. And then they just left. But she was pissed. So she's like crying and she called her friend up and was like, girl, this mom-in-law is getting on my last nerves. How could she tell me that my sister can't see the baby for a year? But her friend was like, there's a very easy way to fix this. So her friend gave her a good plan. A few days later, when they got home from the hospital, daughter-in-law calls up mom-in-law. So my mom told me a good fortune teller to go to, and I went, and they told me that because you were born in the year of the tiger, that your energy clashes with the babies. So they suggested that you not come around the baby for a year. 1년 동안 발걸음하지 마세요. You know, if you're thinking about your grandkid, then you would do it. So she temporarily didn't let her mom-in-law come around the baby. And then finally one day, mom-in-law and husband come knocking at the door. Mom-in-law's like, okay, I realize the error of my ways. Please don't bar me from seeing my grandbaby. And that was how Heijin got her mom-in-law to stop with all that nonsense. But I've actually heard stories of stuff like that. Like when new babies are born, mom-in-law telling their daughter-in-laws not to let certain people go around the baby, etc. And so the daughter-in-laws do the same thing. They say, well, the fortune teller told me that you shouldn't come near the baby. And then they all sort of changed their mind. There was one I heard recently where a daughter-in-law, her mom had cancer and was getting treatment in the hospital when her baby was born, and the mom-in-law was like, cancer patients cannot be around babies like at all, but it didn't look like her mom would live long at all. So she was like, so my mom's just gonna die without seeing my baby. But this is something that is not super common, but this is something that I guess still happens a lot just because the previous generation is still so superstitious. So just know it is possible if you get married here that you could have a mom-in-law who's super.
Oh yeah. So yeah, some of the stories I've heard is crazy from some of the guys that are married to Koreans, but yeah.
Just now, most of them are not extreme like that, but most people I know, their mom-in-law have asked them to do one or two like small things, like how my mom-in-law does. It's not that big of a deal to do those small things, but if you get somebody who asks you to do big things and like relies on it too heavily, then it could be very difficult. And you're going to have to set up some boundaries and make sure that your partner has them too. Because I've heard in cases like that, if you just go with everything, then they'll keep doing like more and more and trying to control like more of the stuff. So you got to be careful. But also,
Yep, they'll gaslight you till you like can't take it no more. Oh yeah, I've learned that.
so one thing I've noticed that gets people to stop doing stuff is literally they have to experience it themselves and go through the emotions that other people would have to go through before they realize, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, right? It doesn't feel that nice. So a lot of the revenge stories that I've seen here kind of centers around that, it seems. Let's move on to the last daughter-in-law revenge. This
All right, this could get really good right here. So let's check this
revenge
out.
actually was had on a sister-in-law and not a mother-in-law, but this story was also very interesting. This story was sent in by someone, let's just call her Hannah. Hannah is 30 years old. She's still newlyweds with her husband. Let's call him Hanbin because it's an H name. It's the only one in my mind right now. And Hannah, when she was growing up, she actually went to one of those Korean schools where girls cannot have their hair longer than 3 centimeters below the ears. So hair has to be no longer than this. I know lots of people who went to those kind of schools. Back in the day, some of the Korean schools just had crazy rules. So Hannah was like, you know what? When I graduate from school, I'm gonna grow my hair down to my butt. And she had the most beautiful, long, luxurious hair that was down past her waist, like right at the butt. And that was actually what her husband, Hanbin, loved about her. He loved her beautiful, gorgeous, long Korean hair. It is beautiful. There's not that many nowadays, but I have on a couple occasions seen the girls who just let their hair grow. It is so beautiful. But because her hair is so long and thick, it takes her forever to dry it. Hannah would spend forever washing and drying her hair, but her husband loved her hair so much that he always offered to help. So her husband would help her dry and brush her hair. But there were 2 people apparently who despised the hell out of that long hair. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law. So especially the sister-in-law, she would say stuff like, 머리카락 봐봐. 확 잘라버렸으면 좋겠네. Just look at her hair. I wish she would just cut it all off. Her husband would always jump in and defend her, obviously, because she loves hair. So literally every single time they met, mother and sister-in-law, they would say crap about her hair. Long hair is for young girls. How long do you plan on walking around with hair down to your butt? So one day it was the father-in-law's chesa, which is the ancestral rites ceremony. In Korea, after someone passes away, every year they have an ancestral ceremony for that person. So usually on the father-in-law's chesa ceremony day, the son and daughter-in-law will go and spend the night at the mother-in-law's house. They did the ceremony. Hannah had washed her hair and Hanbin was helping her dry it. And sister-in-law comes in. 아우, 꼴 보기 싫어. 뭐 물귀신이야? Who wants to see that? She really hated seeing the husband brushing and drying the hair and fawning over the hair. I don't know. Maybe the sister-in-law is jealous. Maybe she has thin hair or something. I don't know. But Hannah says, 제가 좋아해서 기르는 건데 무슨
Does a sister even have a man? I'm just kind of wondering about that. If she had a man, I don't think she'd be crying and bitching about her long hair.
상관이세요? I like long hair, so that's why I've grown it out. What does that have to do with you? 꼴 보기 싫으니까 그렇지. Because I don't want to see it. 확 잘라버렸으면 좋겠네. I wish you would just cut it all off. So the husband's like, get out of my room. So later that night, Hannah went to the kitchen to get some water, and behind her, she hears, 지금 뭐 하는 거야?
With Target Circle 360, you get unlimited same-day delivery
And let's go to Target.
to your door.
The sister-in-law cut her hair. 머리 마르기 힘들다면 좀 잘라. Since your hair is so difficult for you to dry, why don't you just cut it? 꼴 보기 싫어. I hate looking at your long hair. It's not even that short. Shoulder length is a good length. Just
What the hell? I guess she doesn't have a man. She's not getting any, whatever from a man or some, whatever special D or special whatever. Oh God, is she even married?
come with me to the hair salon tomorrow and we can cut the other side too. So then the husband's like, yeah, are you in your right mind? Girl, if somebody came behind me and cut my hair very shortly, I think all of my Southern blackness would rise up and I would evolve into my final form. And I can't say that I would not throw hands because I think cutting someone's hair like that should be considered assault, okay? Self-defense. In my life, I have never, ever put my hands on anybody for whatever the situation is, but I think I would.
I wouldn't blame you.
I would. Is cutting hair considered assault? Let me look it up. It sounds like it would be. Okay, apparently in some countries
I
it's definitely
wouldn't.
considered
I
a
wouldn't
form of
blame
assault.
you
I
if
don't know
you.
about in Korea or not. So when Hannah and her husband were in bed that night, Hannah was so pissed still, she could not sleep. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna get her back.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you if you started to, rise up. It's like,
So Hannah went and took the scissors and went into her sleeping sister-in-law's room. Now, sister-in-law already has a short shoulder-length haircut and she had some bangs. So Hannah was like, I'm about to cut this Trix bangs. And then that morning, her and her husband left very early before the sister-in-law woke
Oh.
up. Yeah, she cut her bangs horribly. So when they get home, the mom-in-law calls her up. Did you ever see her? Yeah, no 미쳤니? What the hell is wrong with you? You crazy? 머리 어떻게 그렇게 잘라? Why would you cut her hair like that? Yeah, 너 죽고 싶어? 이 사이코 같은 년아! I'm gonna kill you! You're a psycho! I'm gonna get you back! Come on, 안 될 거야! Well, I'm sure you can go to the hair salon and get it fixed. The sister-in-law called her a psycho. So you're not a psycho for cutting someone's hair and even being obsessed with someone's hair in the first place, but she's a psycho for cutting your bang. I will say cutting a bang, what? Doesn't even require a year to grow out, but her hair is gonna need at least 4 years to get back to how it was. And then plus you
Yeah.
can just wear like a little bang clip on top. She deserved it. You don't just go around cutting people's hair like that. I'm
No
sorry, girl. You
kidding.
deserve it. Why does she even care? Do you care about the length of people's hair around you? Tell me in the comments below because normal people probably do not. That person can wear their hair however they want. Anyway, those are the 3 times that daughter-in-laws got revenge. Sweet, sweet revenge. So what do you think? What would you do in this situation? Would you get revenge? How would you deal with it? Let me know down below. I'm curious to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video and you like to see more videos, please subscribe to me.
Okay, so yeah, again, I don't, maybe, yeah, that older sister has no, like I keep saying, no man, no D, no whatever V, no whatever. She's jealous. She has the husband loves her long hair. That's what I'm getting at. That's what I think of the situation. But what do you guys think? So yeah. And by the way, shout out to Megan Moon for putting out this video. And by the way, if you enjoyed any of this content, please give me the HKO special. Help the king out. Hit the like, subscribe, and comment. And wherever you are, stay safe. And I'll see you in my next video.